The most effective working dog and all-rounder in medieval and modern England was undoubtedly the extremely strong, persistent, and agile Old English Bulldog. If one carefully studies the dogs with deformed anatomy and health problems that are now called English Bulldogs, it is fair to ask, how did the star working dog of previous centuries become the gnome-like, Lilliputian copy we know today? Why was the Old English Bulldog so popular? The development of medieval English bulldogs has long been the subject of a serious debate of principle among Anglo-Saxon sinologists. What most people agree on, the bulldogs of that time may have been smaller versions of the previously existing Mastiff-type dogs specially selected for work, who had similar appearance traits, but the primary criterion of selection was the ability to work hard. For centuries, these dogs were primarily used for tasks related to mainly cattle slaughterhouses. They were extremely nimble, persistent, and very strong dogs, and due to their forward biting jaws, they were able to hold down the captured animals for a long time. In addition, they played a major role in the cruel entertainment habits of the people of that time, which was represented by bull baiting held at county fairs and towns for a long time, when a few bulldogs had to hold down a strong bull, sometimes weighing up to a ton. After bull baiting was banned in 1835, some of the bulldogs of that time unfortunately moved to dog pits, where they also stood their ground for a long time. With the advent of the Industrial Revolution and rail transport, the English bulldogs of that time became unemployed, their traditional fields of activities ceased to exist, and unfortunately this type of working dogs slowly ceased to exist by the end of the 19th century. However, the genetics of these intrepid working dogs did not disappear permanently, as all bull-type dogs we know today descended from these ancestors, for example by crossing ancestral bulldogs and terriers. The legacy of the former English working bulldogs is perhaps best preserved by the American bulldogs alive today. The origin of today's English bulldogs. In the second half of the 19th century, primarily among the urban and metropolitan population, dog shows, exhibitions, and the development of officially recognized dog breeds became increasingly popular. In this changing environment, it was no longer the ability to work, endurance, and physical strength that came to the fore, but the peculiarity and totality of the appearance characteristics of individual dogs. As the, in quotes, breeders had to keep up with the times, but primarily with the tastes of the gentlemanly public and fashion, this process was increasingly inclined towards exaggerating uniqueness. At first, attempts were made to select and give preference to smaller individuals of bulldogs to meet the needs, but this did not bring the expected results. The size decreased, but not necessarily the character. The key to future popularity was found in the 1860s by the breeders of that time, when the first crossing of the old bulldogs that could still be found and the pugs that were once brought to England from China took place. Pugs have been present in the country since the 17th century and became extremely popular after some aristocratic families began to keep these dogs as companion dogs and buy them in large numbers, which naturally became an example to follow among the snobbish bourgeois strata. The crossing of the two breeds, which are otherwise not related to each other in any way, perfectly met the expectations of the time. The pressed bulldog nose was further shortened to almost extreme size and the size was significantly reduced, which made the resulting dog acceptable even for the growing urban population. The artificially crafted New English Bulldog was first shown at exhibitions in the early 1860s and was a noisy success as expected. Among the extremist public, the wider-than-usual head, barrel-like body, and, last but not least, a more moderate temperament quickly made these dogs incredibly popular, so much so that in 1865 their first breed standard was described. The resulting New English Bulldog became the national symbol of the British during the 20th century. In order to maintain and grow interest and demand, the breeding of English Bulldogs has taken an increasingly extreme direction, which is regrettable. Although we are talking about the symbol of English toughness, the truth is that today's English Bulldog no longer has any job aptitude and it may not be easy to live with him as a companion dog. Its mobility is limited, in most cases unsuitable for natural reproduction without human intervention, and a lot of them are heavily burdened with inherited genetic diseases. Recognizing this, attempts were made in several parts of the world to regenerate the old, working English Bulldogs, but in none of these cases were completely successful. Unfortunately, the once healthy and rock-hard Old English Bulldog, the working dog superman of previous centuries, as a breed or type, has disappeared permanently in history. This was the first dog type or breed to fall victim to distorted public taste and fashion, which unfortunately has been followed by not a few other breeds to this day.